I know you don't want to have to sign up to find out what I'm talking about. So here it is. And this is the version vertical at the most deliberate pace. So I'm here to show with my own body that a big transformation is doable, simple, and can reliably be accomplished. And my results so far are promising. I started eating every other day in February 2021. I'm quickly shrinking and becoming more dense without exercise, cost, or any particular suffering. I'm very pleased with my progress, and I'm looking forward to sharing. So after this video, you will be able to start if you want to try this protocol. You'll know enough without anything further from me. You'll know your options if you do want to team up to try it, and you'll be able to explore how you might like to personalize it for yourself. There are several important surprises, mainly that you eat what you want, you eat as much as you want. The protocol is only about when. Obviously, not everybody has enough to eat, or if they do, they don't necessarily have what they prefer to eat. They might have restrictions, concerns, limitations, but within all of that, within that context, you eat what you want, you eat as much as you want. The protocol is only about when. It's a manipulation of time, not food choices nor food quantities. But I do exhort that people eat plenty and with gusto. I'm not sure this works with a low-calorie diet. And the technology involved is very well studied and more studied. It's called autophagy. It's the healing cycle within one's body when our cells revitalize themselves by getting rid of broken down and malfunctioning proteins and other cellular components, and bringing out new ones. So in this research, I think what's emerging very clearly is that it's during autophagy that fat shrinks. So then the question becomes how to get to autophagy, and it's very simple. It automatically triggers about 18 hours after your most recent bite of food. Some people say it's a little plus or minus 18 hours, but that number's working pretty well for me. So you can actually use time to get to autophagy and enjoy the benefits of it. And this isn't new. Some people have thought of eating one meal a day, and that's called OMAD. And I could have done that, but I wondered, as a short, morbidly obese, middle-aged woman who loves cheese noodles, that I thought I might need a longer continuous stint in autophagy in order to fully achieve it. So I made a 48-hour pattern instead of a daily one. I uncovered a way to be sure that I transitioned to the autophagy and I spend more time there regularly. I learned that a 2-day pattern is almost as routine and sustainable, therefore, as a daily pattern, but it appears to be easier and more effective. And I've eaten a strategic supply of cheese noodles with a bit of an in-your-face attitude and everything else, and I'm shrinking just the same. So I'm going to audition 2 words that I think will help us, and they are tuners and density. I think these words you'll find are more accurate, inclusive, logical, and less divisive. When you step on a scale, you're measuring 3 types of substance in your body based on your attitude. So there's things that you want to stay the same, say your brain and your bones. There's a substance that you might want to increase, that's your lean body mass, because even if you don't want to be bigger, having more lean body mass is correlated with having a faster metabolism and also just sometimes a better experience of walking around, more strength. And then there's fat, which if most people want to change, they want to shrink it. So when you take these 3 substances about which you have entirely different attitudes and measure them together, it isn't surprising that it doesn't really propel us forward. So I'm going to audition the word density. Density, as I conceive it, is a measure of your lean body mass over your total body mass as a percentage. Or a person could use volume over body mass. I get my lean body mass measured monthly at DEXA scans. So this is a nice concept if you're a fat shrinker or a muscle builder Either way, you're actually increasing density. So we can all get on the same page. And I also welcome people who want to decrease their density, and that would be specifically people who want to add fat. I wanted a word for that, and so I've coined fluffier, which it's more respectful to have a unique word than it is a derivative word like less dense. So welcome to those who want to be fluffier. I will show how the protocol can be altered to achieve gaining fat if you want to. So what's my secret sauce, my big insight? It's pretty simple. If I use a 48-hour pattern, I can include a lot of autophagy in my life with minimal discomfort. I suffer less compared to OMAD, and I get in more autophagy. I fully achieve autophagy because I give myself enough time to shift completely from one energy state to the other. So just for the record, the two energy states are the insulin energy mode on one hand and the autophagy or ketosis energy mode on the other. Now, ketosis evokes the keto diet, and this is not about diets or food choices. This is perfectly compatible with the keto diet and all the other diets, or lack of diet. The keto people, I'm waving a friendly hello to, pursue ketosis by reducing their carbs, and that's perfectly fine. This ketosis you can get to regardless of whether you're eating carbs or not. You could eat all chocolate bars, and if you just take a long enough break, you will get to ketosis. I'm not recommending eating all chocolate bars because I'm not recommending anything about food choices. What really matters is spending time in autophagy and improving your ability to shift completely between the two modes. I chose a very intense version of the pattern where I'm eating every other day, and I will show versions where you're eating every day. I chose this version because I wanted a strong protocol that was going to work sort of as quickly as reasonable. I didn't want to become gaunt or, worn out or wrinkly, and so far it's been very good in that regard. I wanted it to be simple, and I wanted it to fit in my life with minimal ripples. So I'll show you my personal 2-day eating pattern, keeping in mind that easier ones exist, and I'll show you those. After I show you this pattern, I'll just go straight to my results, and then we'll go to those other versions, and only after that will I pitch anything that requires you to sign up or pay money, and I'll warn you first. So here's my pattern, and you can look at these circles as though they're a 48-hour clock that starts the moment that I eat on eat day. So I'm scheduling that for 9 a.m., which is just, it's not really a schedule, it's just what I typically do. And then I eat all day, say until 11 o'clock, when I go to bed full, and I have a full belly sleep, and then I wake up and I'm still full because I ate so much the day before. And then slowly during the day, I transition from insulin to autophagy mode. And then say about 5 o'clock, I'm in autophagy mode. And if I can just get to sleep without eating, I'm adding, say, 7 more hours of sleeping autophagy and then 3 more hours of busy morning autophagy. That's 16 hours of autophagy, or 33% of my time. I think that's why it's working so well. So let's go see my results. I get scans for the visual part of results because I wanted to be very forthcoming with bulges and cellulite and fat and all the stuff. And then I've had a scan more recently. I actually get them pretty much monthly, but here's a more recent scan from December. An easier way to perhaps look at this is through crossfades. So that was February. Now I'm fading to, call it December, fading back to February. Pick a spot if you like and look at the change. And you can see those are definitely results. Another version of results, this is my mother, by the way, she's important to this project, are just photos and, say, video. And I definitely noticed that my height and width are changing their ratio. That's the thing I noticed the most. So my mom is about to turn 90 years old, and I wanted to give her a present, and that's the occasion of starting my protocol, which I had actually planned for decades. Because I realized on her 89th birthday that I needed something pretty spectacular for her 90th birthday. And so I decided to give her a smaller version of me. And that's my dad. Quantitative results, though, are also key. Getting those measurements, so I have those results. Just adjust a little. I've lost 45 pounds of weight, which is 19% of my weight. I've lost mostly fat. 85% of that loss is fat, which represents 39 pounds of fat loss, which is 30% of my fat, while I've only lost 6% or 6 pounds of lean during this protocol. I could have done weight training and that sort of exercise to remediate that lean loss if I'd wanted, and I probably would have easily done it. Well, not easily, but with dedication I could have done it. But I didn't, because I wanted to keep the variables down to see how it would work even if a person couldn't exercise, for example, or at least not right away. I started at about 41% density as lean body mass over total body mass in a percentage, and I've added 6 percentage points to my density. So on my next scan, I'm hoping I'm going to get to 48% dense, and I'll probably keep going until I'm about 70% dense, maybe plus or minus, just to see what that's like. So that indicates that I'll probably be doing this for at least 2 years. And I've gone from a size 22 dress to about a size 16. Hopefully you've taken this opportunity, if you like changes in inches and centimeters, to look down here and see all that, or you've noticed that we have kilos on this side. I have a big spreadsheet where I keep everything, and this is just an excerpt of it, far too small for you to see the numbers. So I'll just pull out a couple of things that I think are important. I used to take a guess and set a goal what my next results were going to be like. I'd say that's my February goal or my March goal. But I stopped because it doesn't make sense to say that. I'm not varying my effort. I'm not trying harder or changing my strategy. I'm just following a pattern. It's just a pattern. So I don't call it a goal anymore. I call it a prediction. And I think it's very interesting to note that I started with 132 pounds or 60 kilos of lean body mass, and I'm down to 93 or 42. That rate means that on average, I'm losing 3.9 or 1.8 kilos of fat. I'm shrinking that every month, and reminding you that's just without exercise. That's without suffering. That's eating what I want as much as I want. Another version of results that's really fun is the butter equivalent. So butter and human fat have about the same density, which means they're about the same volume per weight. And so I literally shrink this much butter, equivalent of this much butter as body fat off my body every day that I don't eat, as long as I ate a lot the day before. And I'm doing nothing that counts as exercise. There are a lot of other tangible results that aren't quantitative as well, like my concentration, my consciousness, remembering what I have to do, thinking at the higher level about things, clarity, increased willpower. My life is simpler. I only deal with food half as much, and I have more time. I get much more satisfaction from eating because, well, I'm eating what I want, and I'm thinking about what I'm going to eat, and then I eat it, and it's tasty and delicious, and it's actually incredibly satisfying to eat when you're hungry. It's hungry isn't the right word. It's incredibly satisfying to eat from the state of autophagy, which doesn't feel like hunger at all. And then I'm having way fewer conflicts, and I'm getting more respect for my theories about health and beauty and fat and thin and weight loss, because I had a bit of a chip on my shoulder with my mom and with other people over time, because I guess they didn't agree with my strategies or theories. Anyway, I got rid of the chip and got started. And then I have a lot more equanimity, and I don't really have faith. I have a knowledge of how this works and that it works. So let's see exactly what I do and look at other possibilities. So I take one action, which is to eat every other day. As mentioned, we're about to see versions of eating every day. so that I automatically trigger autophagy, ketosis, brain-derived neurofactor, human growth hormone, and all the related elements. And I automatically trust fat, which I will cover if you come to the interactive invitation, what I mean by that. And I automatically tune density. So although the circles are shiny and complicated, the pattern is simple. I eat every other day. There's no elaborate schedule or points or anything. I just ask myself, oh, did I eat yesterday? Okay, I know what to do. It's the massive autophagy that happens while I sleep that excites me so much. So, one more time, just in case you skipped ahead, this is my version. I start eating 9 a.m. on eat day. I eat all day till 11. I go to bed with a full belly. I wake up still full because I ate so much on the feast day the day before. I slowly transition to autophagy during the day. And then by about 5 o'clock, I'm there and I get all this autophagy before I start eating again, which represents, that's a mistake. It should say 16 hours or 33% of my time in autophagy. But some people do need food in their belly to go to sleep. Or some people are making dinner for people and they don't just want to make the dinner and then drink tea. They'd like to actually eat the dinner too. So if you wanted to follow my pattern, but you just basically eat right before bed, you still get in 3 hours of autophagy, which is 6%. And because you can use the pattern as long as you want, it's just a pattern. You'd have to switch away from the pattern. It's not necessary to be as intense as me, perhaps, especially if you don't have as big a goal of change to make, transformation. If you want to get some autophagy while still serving dinner, you just stop eating a little bit early. Whereas I was scheduling eating till 11, you could stop on eat day at 9 o'clock. It's still night. It's still late. Have a good night, wake up the next day, and then by about, say, 3 p.m. in the afternoon, you'll be into autophagy, and you can still get 6% that way. Serve and eat dinner and have a nice night. What if you want a little more, but not quite as much as me? Well, you could stop eating at 7 p.m. Then you're still going to have a nice night and a nice morning, but you'll get to your autophagy, say, 1 p.m. in the afternoon. And so you can get, say, 5 hours of autophagy in, which is 10% of your time, which is still very significant. All right, and then there's always keeners. I'm one who want to ask the theoretical question, what if I wanted to make it even harder, more intense? You could do it. There's a couple different ways. You could do OMIAD. I'm not recommending one meal every other day because the problem is this tiny little 2-hour window in which I'm trying to eat enough food for 2 days. It just seems difficult. But if you could do it, you might be getting 28 hours of autophagy or 58% of your time in autophagy. And if you want 25% of your time in autophagy, there's a really interesting pattern I thought up, a 72-hour pattern, which I will cover if you stay to the end. How hard is this? Well, have you ever skipped breakfast? Who hasn't, right? Let's say you skip breakfast because you ate so much the night before after a feast day or something. I'm lucky I get to feast every other day. I'm very grateful to be able to do this experiment and live this way. Worst case, whatever I'm craving, I just eat it the next day. So the usual way that people end up skipping a breakfast or a breakfast and lunch is like this. You had a normal day the day before, you went to bed full, you woke up, you didn't eat breakfast, maybe you're busy, you didn't want to, you were full, and then for whatever reason lunch gets away from you that day. Well, by the late afternoon, usually a person is ready to eat a lot. 3 bags of potato chips or 40 bags of potato chips, whatever. But if you don't, then you will probably get a little bit of autophagy in. It's not the comfortable autophagy because you're ravenously hungry, but you'll get it in. But so this may not be the most wonderful pattern to experience, or perhaps somebody might say it's not healthy, but it's very close to offering you some autophagy. All you have to do is stop eating earlier or start eating later, and you're in business. So here's a couple of ways that I'm slightly adjusting that so that you can get some autophagy. One of these you've seen before and one of them you haven't. If you want to pause and have a closer look, feel free. So this is not a temporary thing. It's just a new pattern that one adopts. And you keep adjusting it until it's so easy and comfortable. So it's not meant to be vigorous. It's meant to be automatic. And that's what happened to me. I started out and it was a little complex and it took a little bit of energy and organization. It got easier quickly. Then it became more and more familiar. And now I would say it's pretty much automatic. I'm wondering if other people are going to find the same thing. The idea of not making it difficult, but actually continually adjusting it until it's easier and more comfortable means that you can take the time you need to make the transformation that you have in mind and then get comfortable with it, and it becomes the new normal for you. I promised to address what if a person wants to add fat, and you say nobody wants to add fat. Well, yes, some people do. So the protocol can be reversed to add fat. What you do is you avoid autophagy. You use time to keep your liver full of glycogen for long enough that it'll make more fat. I think the key is to eat constantly. A high-calorie diet may not be required, although it certainly helps. I think, though, that the key is the constant eating, and that's the most important element of adding fat. So whether you want to be fluffier or denser, that's up to you. What you want to eat, that's up to you. I'm very curious about these things, but I'm agnostic about what kind of tuning you want to do and how you're going to do it. All right, let's say after this, you're thinking, I might try it. I might want to start. So here are some options for starting that don't require anything like sign up or money. You can just start. You know enough by now that you could make circles for yourself. You could open up your calendar and you can count, eat fast, eat fast, eat fast, until you find, a collision with something that you want to, like a special event, and you want to be eating that day. Well, you just eat 2 days in a row and then resume the pattern. You might want to start by getting some before data. You might want to research autophagy and lose yourself in the science. There's lots there. And another perfectly reasonable option, in my opinion, is to wait. This is an unproven technology. I've only tried it on myself, and not even for a full year yet. So if somebody wanted to wait until more results were in, I would completely respect that. Right now I'm looking for some intrepid, maverick, sovereign experimenters to try it with me. And then if you want to check out my results, you can tune into Reveal Fest, which will be when I reveal 1 year of results of eating every other day on February 27th and 28th, 2022. So that's the end of the free options with no sign up required. If you have questions or you want to comment or you want to engage in any way, you can take the same material as an interactive invitation at KatherineLand. And that does require a sign up, but it's free. So if you do sign up, you could see the same material, but then you can post your questions or you can ask them live if you come at the time when I'm there. And you can also see any newer results I may have posted. You can review the links we've collected to start your deep dive into autophagy in a topic under this invitation called The Science of the State. You will be able to join and lurk in spaces starting February 2022 for no cost at KatherineLand with 2-day eaters. You can find other 2-day eaters to talk to and interact with and work with. And then if you want more, here are some paid options that I'm offering. I have a 1-week course. It fits into your life that helps you plan, and you get active hands-on customization, and you can meet some other people and start with them. I have a 6 weeks founder session. You could start your pattern with up to 60 other tuners who are also starting theirs. And so we have a deeper dive and an opportunity to really work together. If you don't want to start, that's not your approach. Perhaps you're a service provider or just a theoretician. I have a 1-hour hypothesis course, a deeper dive, and there's a Q&A. It's a short session geared for really nerds and skeptics, theoretical approach. And then, of course, you can just get a ticket to Reveal Fest and come see what the results look like then. There's one more option, and that is to have a private paid conversation with me. I'm not really trying to be a consultant or an hourly paid person. However, I myself sometimes am just dying to get in touch with somebody and ask my burning question if they've brought something to my attention. And so I'm trying to provide that option for other people because it's what I want. So you could just schedule an appointment and have a talk if you want. So right now, if you don't mind, I would love you to give me your initial knee-jerk response by clicking the link for the initial reaction form. I won't hold you to it. If you don't feel like that, if you're feeling triggered or furious or disgusted, I have a form for that too, because I really, really want to hear from everybody. Watch more videos on my channel by all means, but I'm not trying to build YouTube. If an advertisement has come to your attention during this, which is really my advertisement, feel free to circle back to that advertiser and let them know what you think of your attention being redirected to their message, right, when you were trying to concentrate. Feel free not to like, nor subscribe, nor hit the bell for notifications. And if you are going to ask a question or leave a comment, I truly invite you to come to the interactive version of the material at KatherineLand for free. Post your questions and comments there, and then they'll benefit more other people as well. If you want to help, I really am so thankful for that. Please consider what it would be like to just warmly talk to a couple people that you care about, as opposed to, anything else. All right, I promised you a bonus pattern if you stayed till the end, the 72-hour pattern. This is a really intriguing pattern. It doesn't have the same benefit of being a 48-hour pattern, which when something is just every 2 days, it's got a little more inertia to it than a 3-day thing. However, it's pretty close, and it has a very interesting quality. So let's say this is 9 a.m. on your eat day, and this is going to be now a 72-hour clock. And you go to bed, same thing, full belly night. You get up the next day and you eat all day for the second day. And so you have a second full belly night. It's the next morning and then the next day that you're switching over to autophagy, which it looks like I have it starting at about 3 p.m. on the fast day, which would be the third day in the pattern. And then you just make it to bed without eating and go to bed and start the pattern over again. And that would get you actually 18 hours. That's probably where that error came from. 18 hours in autophagy, or 25% of your time. But it feels like you're eating more than you're not eating. So that could be very interesting. Thank you so much for giving me your attention today. And I welcome you to come to the same material, the 2-day interactive eating invitation at KatherineLand. I'd love to see you there.